Yeah, it's going to be one of those days. All right. Since it is a Friday, that means one thing. And, well, it means one thing at the beginning of the show, and it means one thing at the end of the show. Since it's the beginning of the show, that means we start off this way.
Uh, hmm.
Come on, man.
It's, it's,
Go for it, dude.
it's Friday. Friday.
It is Friday here on SDHAM. John Nelson here with you. And we got to preview the weekend. We got to do that. And we've got to lay everything out for the rest of Major League Soccer. We've got our ref assignments we've got to get into. Hopefully, Pro's website isn't under continued reorganization and reconstruction, where we can actually let you know who is going to be where this weekend. Probably a little bit of the GHSA, considering that Soccer is in Session Playoff Daily Live will be at noon. And on that, we're going to have Chad Griffin, the head coach of the Hebron Christian program. And we're also going to take a tour down to Tatnall County and find out what's going on with the Battle Creek Warriors with their run that they have had. They get a home match today on the boys' side. We'll get into that. We'll go through all the brackets and go through all the things. Find out what happened last night for those of you that may not have been up close and personal with your listening device to hang out with us on the network. We had both SDH 1 and 2 up and running in the AAA classification. Jason, Maddie, and Sophia were down at Whitewater for our resident alumna, Sophia Cupertino, for that matchup involving Oconee County, who's chasing after 3 in a row now with their win over Whitewater. I was up at Jefferson for the craziness that was the Jefferson-Cherokee Bluff match, finished up 5-2. Jefferson and Oconee County, and I guess I should put out the bat signal for head coach Judson Hamby for Tuesday, as these two will square off against each other. And so it'll be Oconee County and Jefferson AAA girls final, and that is going to be on Wednesday, I believe. And we'll catch up with Molly McCarty, the head coach of Jefferson, on Tuesday, because we figured that out during the post-game show while we were waiting to figure out if Oconee County won. And Maddie Cohn had another big night. She had a brace for Oconee County. Troublesome. She is a problem. Quoting Derek Wittenberg, paraphrasing Derek Wittenberg. She is a problem for defenses as a freshman at Oconee County. So we'll go over all your brackets and we'll get that squared away. We'll get you ready for Soccer is in Session Playoff Daily Live at noon. Go through all of the news that we have. There's news involving Ozzie Alonso. Not really a surprise, mind you, but it was announced this morning that he is leaving Bayer Leverkusen. Odds are that he is going to be the new head coach at Real Madrid. Go through all the go through your brackets, go through your news, go through your stuff. Ozzie Alonso is going to join us at 10 o'clock, and we will catch up with Ozzie about, obviously, Atlanta United. And I do have an Atlanta United 2 question that I'm going to ask him, and it has to do probably with stuff maybe in a man cave, but we'll find out what's going on in Ozzie's mind, what it's like to be on this side of the camera and not having a camera following up and down the turf. So we'll catch up with Ozzie at 10. See if our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring can join us at 9:30. And like I said, we'll get you ready for the weekend, and we'll be out by 11:05 so we can be back for the high school show at noon. High school show after this week. We're going to go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week, and we will break it all down for your championships there, and that'll be the end of the high school season. It's crazy that this is the last day that we're going to be able to broadcast high school games for the season, because NFHS Network, they have the championships, and it'll be a mass of humanity with us. Let's see. Luke Winstall, Mateen the Dream, Mateen Zibanejad, he's going to be a part of it. Let's see. Me, Maddie, Jarrett, Jason, we're all going to be a part of it in one aspect or another. NFHS Network and the championships. Duluth, McEachern, Mercer. All of that's going to be on the docket next week, but we're going to start catching up with folks. Soccer's in Session Playoff Daily Live Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week, and that'll lay it all out for us, getting you ready for the end of the high school soccer season. We can't thank our friends at Kaiser Permanente enough for being a great partner with us, not just on Major League Soccer, but on high school and everything across the board. So Soccer's in Session Playoff Daily Live today at noon, and then it picks back up on Tuesday next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, to get you ready and get you through the championships. So, yeah, my guess is I got to try and track down Judson Hamby now, since I'm having Molly McCarty on Tuesday. We'll try and get Judson Hamby on at noon, and we'll see in the noon hour. We'll see what we can do in catching up with them in the AAA championship game. All right. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. QR code is right there. You get that QR code. You start your day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Use the code SoccerDownHere15 when you check out. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested in youth games, youth initiatives, stuff that they have earmarked as cool. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And so, obviously, one of the big stories that broke out about 8 o'clock this morning, our time, Xabi Alonso. Yes, Ricky. Yeah, Xabi Alonso as the as the Price is Right version of everything. He's confirmed he's leaving Bayer Leverkusen at the end of the season. News conference today, 3 years at Leverkusen, had the undefeated league campaign in 23-24 as part of the domestic double. He's going to depart after the final 2 Bundesliga matches of the year. He said he's not going to discuss his future. This is from Alex Kirkland and Rodrigo Feiss at the 4-letter, saying it was not the moment. It's not the moment to talk about my future. Yet he kind of half opened the door by saying he's not coming back. So I'm not going to talk about the future, but in 2 matches, my future won't be here. Aha. But yes, a Real Madrid source told the 4-letter on Friday that Alonso is close, in quotation marks, to becoming the club's new coach, with Carlo Ancelotti expected to leave after the last La Liga game against Real Sociedad. Xabi said in the presser this week, the club and I have agreed these 2 games will be my last at Bayer Leverkusen. It's always about the moment. And now is the right moment to announce it. We've always had good direct communication with the club, and now we have clarity. We want to have a proper farewell on Sunday at home against Borussia Dortmund. It's emotional. I talked to the players this morning. Unbelievable, fantastic 3 years. Now it's a moment to share with the fans on Sunday. I think we can be proud of what we've achieved. We've been taking the club in the right direction. ESPN, obviously, and a bunch of other folks have reported that the former Real Madrid midfielder who began his coaching career with the academy has long been their club's preferred candidate to succeed Ancelotti. He's come under pressure, obviously, after Madrid's elimination in the Champions League quarters, defeating the Copa del Rey. They go into Sunday's Clásico at Barca, still with a chance of winning the La Liga title. Alonso said after Mainz, once the season is wrapped, it'll be the moment for the next thing. Not clear whether Alonso would take charge of Madrid immediately to coach them in the Club World Cup, or whether Madrid will appoint an interim coach for the tournament. Club will make their debut in the competition against Al Hilal at Hard Rock on the 18th of June, so 39 days from now. Alonso said he had no idea when a journalist jokingly asked if he possessed a U.S. visa. ESPN's reported Santi Solari, who is currently Madrid's director of football, is one of the options on the table, but the names of U19 coach Alvaro Arbeloa and Castilla coach Raul Gonzalez have not been ruled out. Xabi took charge at Leverkusen, first top-flight gig after coaching at Real Sociedad's reserve side in October of 22, and they had the unbeaten domestic double in 2024. Second place in the Bundesliga, and in the Champions League, they were beaten by Bayern in the round of 16. Also revealed that his behind-the-scenes relationships at Leverkusen, including with CEO Fernando Caro, had been a part of his decision-making when he opted not to leave the club a year ago. It's one of the, quote, it's one of the reasons why last year I decided to stay, because I felt really well here. And he said that hasn't changed, but maybe the moment is different. So in going to be one of the non-surprising surprises, you're going to have Xabi Alonso leaving and perhaps heading over to Real Madrid. Mo Salah was named Footballer of the Year. Alessia Russo wins the FWA Player of the Year. And you now have Arne Slot saying that he was disappointed by the Trent Alexander-Arnold exit. Mentioned that publicly in his presser. Beth Lindop at the 4-letter Disappointed, Trent Alexander-Arnold decided to leave the club this summer, but has backed the Reds to adapt following his departure. Once again, expected to join Real Madrid on a free. Announced the decision back on Monday. Sources told the four-letter back in March Madrid are, quote, very optimistic about signing the England international, although an agreement has not been finalized. Alexander-Arnold once again joined Liverpool's academy at the age of 6. 350 appearances with the club, 8 major honors. Defender rejected a new pay deal at Anfield, would have made him one of the best paid fullbacks in world football. Slut at his press conference today, like everybody, quote, like everybody who likes Liverpool and who's a fan of Liverpool, we're disappointed for him leaving because not only a good human being is leaving, but a very good fullback is leaving us as well. I also worked at clubs like AZ Alkmaar and Feyenoord, where every season good players left, so I'm a bit more used to it. The experience I have in this club as well is if a very good player is leaving, the next very good player will step up, and that's what probably will happen again. Sources told the four-letter Real Madrid want Alexander-Arnold to join him for the Club World Cup, planning to hold talks with Liverpool to negotiate the early release. Remember that Real Madrid was kind of like, yo, fam, how about 50 grand? And Liverpool's like, no, higher. So they're gonna do the prices right and figure out Trent Alexander-Arnold's escape. And Slut said, do you know where Trent's going? He hasn't said anything about it himself. The only thing he said is that he'll leave the club, so it's impossible to comment on where he's going, and if that is the club that will play in the Club World Cup. You see by my smile, we both know where he's going, but it hasn't been said yet. Asked about the reaction to the departure, Slut said that people have an opinion about us, whether it's Trent or me or someone else that works in this industry. It's not new for anyone. For him, it's a bit more negative than he's used to, but I don't follow all of this. Not here to tell the fans how they should react. I'll see Trent in a bit. Boys had a few days off as well. I'll wait and see how he feels about him announcing he's going to leave the club. Connor Bradley is likely to start Liverpool's Premier League clash with Arsenal on Sunday. 21-year-old needs more game time after an injury-plagued year. Slut said we're not going to compare him to Trent. 2 different types of player. With Connor, we see all the potential. Very talented player, hasn't been fit throughout this entire season. To become a very good player, you have to be available every single week. That's the first step he has to make for next season, but we have a lot of confidence in Connor for a very good fullback in Liverpool, and that's what he's already shown. So, Connor Bradley. So if you have Trent Alexander-Arnold in your fantasy, then you might want to look at that and change it. Ange Postecoglou has hit back on anyone who says that he's trying to diminish his side's achievement of reaching a European final, adding, quote, he couldn't care less about the club's Premier League form. Spurs stood up to Bodo Glimt on Thursday, winning 2-0, taking the tie 5-1 on the aggregate, booking a place in the Europa League final against Manchester United. And remember, at the beginning of the season, it was Postecoglou who said, yeah, by year 2, I start winning things. So he could be heading into possibly Champions League, or Spurs could be heading into Champions League. If Ange Postecoglou knocks off Manchester United, that scream you heard was our Drew Dickinson. So Spurs, Manchester United, just hanging above the relegation fight in the Premier League for most of the year, and they're fighting for the Europa League title. Ruben Amorim has been keen to stress that winning Europa League would not save their season. Postecoglou took directly the opposite view after Thursday's match, saying winning a trophy would be far more successful than just finishing high in the table. Postecoglou said, quote, that is going to upset a lot of people. There'll be debates now raging, and neither of us, meaning United and Spurs, will be able to get a trophy. If we win, we're just going to take a team photo because we're not worthy. Who cares if we're struggling in the league? Why is that important? If it's so easy to get to a final, then why doesn't everyone who finishes in the top 3 do it? I mean, it's a separate thing. It's got nothing to do with league form. We understand our league form hasn't been great. Undersell. We understand the struggles we've had. A lot of them are because of the situation we've been in, but how does that diminish the achievement of getting to a final? Like I said, this club and others have finished first, second, or third in the Premier League and haven't made finals. So why should that be diminished? I couldn't care less about who's struggling and who's not. I think both us and Man United have earned the right to be there. I think we're probably beating teams that'll be in the Champions League next year on our road to getting there. So looking forward to it. Should be about game. And so Spurs rivals Arsenal, ending the season trophyless despite being involved in the title race in the Prem and the Champions League semis. Spurs have not won a trophy since lifting the League Cup in 2008. First European final, they fell at the final hurdle against Liverpool in the Champions League in 2019. It's exactly what everyone would be saying. Of course, this, making a European final, is massive. So, Ange Postecoglou is like, yeah, it's massive. Ruben Amorim, not so much. Shoot. I mean, come on now. And sorry, Alex, I have to bring this up as we kind of tour the Premier League here before the bottom of the hour. It appears Newcastle is going to scrap their crest for a new version. Process of creating a new badge has begun as the club announced, quote, the need to keep pace, end quote, with the symbol's growing global status. Sorry, Alex. It appears Newcastle is going to, they have concluded the current design released back in 88 is too complex and intricate for modern branding needs. The club have decided to start the process of creating a new badge in a move that will provoke conflicting emotions among supporters. That's why we bring this up. Wonder what Dylan Butler thinks about this. Club statement today. Quote, as our club grows on the global stage, I feel like I should read this differently. As our club grows on the global stage, the symbol that represents us needs to be able to keep pace. Needs to show up clearly and confidently across everything from kits to screens to merchandise. Look. Actually, I'll save it. So we've been asking ourselves, how well does our current crest represent the club today, and how well will it serve us tomorrow? It's time to update our crest. This isn't a decision we take lightly. We love our crest. It's iconic and has stood us through unforgettable triumphs and testing times, but it was created in a different era. Its intricate design doesn't always translate well in today's digital world, and it's difficult to reproduce it clearly and consistently. As football and the world changes, so too must the symbol that unites us, end quote. Fourth time since 1950 that Newcastle have redesigned the crest, currently heavily based on the city's coat of arms and includes the motto Triumph Through Defense, written in Latin. Nod to Newcastle's importance first as a Roman outpost, part of Hadrian's Wall, and then a city on the frontier of the border with Scotland. City's crest reflects the maritime heritage through two seahorses, and also it has a small lion with the flag of St. George atop sitting a castle turret. New crest in the 70s, focusing on the Norman castle, which gave the city its name, and a magpie. Relaunched again in the early 80s with the sleek NUFC design on the shirt worn by Paul Gascoigne and Chris Waddle, which looks like something rather avant-garde as I'm seeing it for the first time. Club returned to the coat of arms theme in the late 80s, remained the badge ever since. Survey has been sent out to supporters asking for feedback. Understood as many as 4 different designs will be created and shared with a public vote to determine which option is the preferred one. Different options will be designed with the internal preference to focus on refining and reviving the current crest rather than a reinvention. Spoke to the fan advisory board. Refine and revive is the recommended approach. Won't be designed in time for next year, but the intention is to have reached a decision on the new look in time for the 26-27 campaign. I don't know how many of you know this story. So I guess this is story time with John. How many of you, show of hands, remember when June Jones became the head coach at Hawaii? And Lee Steinberg was his agent at the time. Show of hands. Anybody? Anybody? Those of us of a certain age? Anyone? They decided to go away, and you see this now in retro and things like that when you go to retro gear stores and things like that. You remember the UH and the Rainbow because they were the Rainbow Warriors at the time. June Jones, when he came to campus, and Lee Steinberg decided that they wanted to change the design of the UH Rainbow logo. and they caught holy hell for it. They redesigned it, and it ended up with the Polynesian design with the H, and the rainbow disappeared from the design. And this was part of that run when they had Colt Brennan at quarterback, and they went to the Sugar Bowl and got completely destroyed by the University of Georgia. That was that time frame with June Jones. What folks on the island told June Jones at that time when they were redesigning the logo is that you're messing with the island's Ali, A-L-I'. And, like Hawaii is in true spelling Hawaii, Hawaii. To give that pause in between the two I's. So you're messing with the island nation's Ali. What the short version of Ali is like your juju, your mojo, your identity. On a couple of different dimensions. And they were told by those on the island who are firm believers in Ali and what it means to the heart and to the philosophy on the island. It's like, and I'm paraphrasing, bruh, don't do it. It's bad juju. Shortly after the redesign of the UH Rainbow Warrior logo was when June Jones got into the automobile crash on the island where I think he had a Lincoln Town Car at the time, and it crashed into an abutment under an overpass. So a lot of folks sat there, and those who are firm believers in superstition and guidance of higher powers and things like that, they were like, that's what happens when you mess with the island's Ali. I fear that this might end up being the same thing if Newcastle goes down this road. Like I said, and I am a person that believes in history and believes in those kinds of things, and Ali and juju and all of that stuff. So I fear just that part of me that is superstitious or ritualistic or whatever, that you have a situation like that where Newcastle's deciding that, why can't you technologically, why can't you? It's kind of hard. Well, why can't you? I mean, technology over the last 37 years, I think, has improved a little bit. It's too hard. I don't know if we can reproduce that on merch. And that was the key. It's like on all these different things and merchandise. I'm like, okay. You want something that's easy to turn on merch in the catalog as a part of your rebrand. The Utah Mammoth, they did a hell of a job. You got an M and a mountain and a mammoth and Utah and all those things in the logo, and the black sweater is awesome. But that's because you're new as you were trying to figure something out. This is the fourth redesign of the Newcastle logo and crest. And you're like, it's kind of, we kind of need to look at things here to make it easier to reproduce. It needs to show up clearly and confidently across everything from kits to screens to merchandise. So gear that you wear, gear that you buy, and screensavers, among other things. That's what they're hunting for. Something that's easy to flip. What's wrong with what you have now? Maybe modernizing it, yeah. But going completely off the rails like the avant-garde NFC that I saw in the photographs from Luke Edwards at the Telegraph, that's out there, man. That's like bubble letters on Saturday morning cartoons in the 90s. So Newcastle is undergoing the idea of redesigning their crest. Don't want no seahorses. Don't want no Latin. Don't want no lion holding a flag on a top of a castle. We're redesigning. Okay. Like I said, man, you're messing with the Ali of Newcastle by doing it. That's my gut. That's what my gut is telling me here. I mean, I don't think it's like the whole New Coke Classic thing. Well, we haven't gotten to what New Coke looks like in Newcastle yet right now anyway. But at the same time, we don't know what it's going to look like with Coke Classic coming out the other side. We haven't got the new Coke with Newcastle yet. I want to see what new Coke looks like. Then I want to see the outrage that's attached, because you know that some folks are going to like it, some folks are going to hate it, some folks are going to kind of be like, eh. It's the three bears of logos and merch. That's what you're staring at. Newcastle. So Newcastle's going to design stuff. Okay. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I still think they're messing with the Ali E, the Juju, and all of that. Speaking of Ali E and Juju, we bring in our mogul in training and find out what it was like to have a full barn. I feel like Michael. I feel like you got to have your proud father moment in the Open Cup. Am I wrong?
I mean, no, you're not wrong. Would have been prouder had the result gone our way, but the performance was good. It was a little unlucky, and but all in all, a tremendous week for the club and the stadium. So no complaints at all.
So when you got up there, walk me through what was going through your mind as you're seeing everything. It's like, oh, wow, this barn's really, freaking awesome. And then you have New England come to town and everything that's attached to all that. Walk me through your week, sir.
I got to the stadium Friday at about 7:45 in the morning. And two things. One, pictures don't do the stadium justice as far as like, it's much nicer in person and really cool right there on the water. And, weather helps. Number two, I was stunned at, oh my God, there's 80 million little things that still need to be done around here.
Oh, yeah?
So it was all hands on deck. I was at the stadium from 7:45 until about 9:30 p.m. all day. Left for an hour and a half for lunch. And it was incredible the amount of work that people put into that stadium. I mean, obviously for weeks leading up, but just even the last 24 hours before the game, just amazing. So, definitely a huge team effort. But so that was all day Friday. We had an event there Friday night for some VIPs, and that went really well. And then Saturday, got there around 12:30. Attended a tailgate party for a little bit. Walked around the stadium. Did the march to the match. Helped out around the stadium with just some little things with people helping out. And then, went inside, enjoyed the game. And
until the 87th minute.
The 87th.
87th.
No. This is Saturday, 0-0.
Oh, Saturday, 0-0. I was thinking Open Cup. My bad.
Yeah. We had, huge chances to win the game. They had a couple of big chances. Our goalie made some saves. It was a good game. We were down a few starters against a very good team in San Antonio. So a draw going into the game I would have taken. I would have rather have been 3-3 than 0-0. But no, it was a great day, and it absolutely downpoured in like the 88th minute, 89th minute, like a southern storm that rolled in for about 5-6 minutes, just absolutely downpoured. And the fans that stayed out and didn't go undercover, they got louder, and they really enjoyed themselves. And then a nice rainbow came over, and that's how the game finished. And we had a huge chance in like the 92nd, 93rd minute. Just a really, really good day.
And 10,700 at the bank. It's listed in the official notes in the league as the stadium at Tidewater Landing. But the bank is now there. You mentioned all the little things. I have this vision of you like chasing after things. It's like you're looking at paint and you're edging with paint with a toothbrush, and you've got the painter's tape out, all these kinds of things. Am I far off here? Well, it's like, what were you doing? What were you doing to make this happen, sir?
I had a few different jobs on the day. One, there were chairs that were meant to be like on our four corners of the stadium. We have loges, and the chairs that belong in the loges were for some reason like on ground level off to the side of the stadium. So all those chairs needed to get repositioned We had to bring a one of those big beverage containers. It's like a 5-foot beverage container thing. We had to bring that up into the press box. Trash here and there. I didn't pick up a paintbrush, so that was good.
Please tell me that there's video or pictures of you doing all this stuff.
I hope not. I hope not. But just pitching in. I don't know. There was a whole list of things on a big whiteboard that the staff was constantly just crossing things off all day. And our comms director sent me emails at like 3:30 in the morning on Thursday night. So everybody was just working hours and hours to get this going. It's incredible.
It sounds like you all crashed the second you got back to your respective rooms late Saturday night.
Yeah, I got back to my house at like 1:00 in the morning on Monday morning, and was up with the kids at 6, and I was exhausted. When they went to school, I crashed, so that was needed. I can't imagine those people that have been grinding, and then turn around. We had a rugby match on Sunday. We had the Open Cup on Wednesday. We've got another game tomorrow. It's just a crazy first week at the stadium.
Does it feel like it was X number of years ago when you decided you were diving into this venture with Rhode Island FC to carry it to this past week where you've had 10,700, you had the game with San Antonio, you had Open Cup, you've had rugby, you had all these things going into this venue? Does it seem like it was long ago, or does it seem like it was yesterday and you're like, damn, all this happened all of a sudden?
In just respect to this project, it seems forever.
Yeah.
It seems long just because there's so many ups and downs and so much BS along the way and red tape and like, oh my God, is this project going to die right here in front of us? But, when I think back to other things that have gone on 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I'm like, gosh, I can't believe it. Like my retirement, I'm like, geez, can't believe it was already that long. But no, the project itself has seemed like a long time just because of some of the stresses that have come along with it. But it's been incredible. And now my complete focus is a training ground. So,
I mean, that's, I give somebody with a startup idea massive credit for trying to piece something like this together, having the idea to do it in the first place. And then you're going, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. And then you realize that there's all of this work that goes into this idea of whatever that idea is that you're trying to germinate from. And then finally seeing that first step, and you're like, okay, that's a great first step. And then you got to dust off, and it's like, yeah, okay, now the real work begins. We got to this point of the beginning, and now it's sustaining going from that moment forward.
Totally. And we've said that to the staff, like, this is amazing. But now how do we take advantage of it? How do we turn people that just want to come to a game every now and then into fans who want to be at every game, no matter the weather or the opponents or the time of year, or whatever, right? So that's the challenge now, and that's a great challenge. We should have almost a sold-out stadium again on Saturday. We basically sold it out against the Revs on Wednesday, and that was fun and exciting and an awesome opportunity. And but yeah, no, it's never ending. So yeah, the training ground is definitely a big priority of mine.
And where are your schematics and all of your drawings and your to-do list when it comes to the training ground? Where's your notebook about, okay, is it this, and this? Is that hidden away? Well, where's your notebook on the training ground?
Not even at that point yet, John. It's more big picture stuff. Does it have to be OZ land, like an opportunity zone, which affects taxes and all this other stuff?
Yes, yes, it does.
So does it have to be that? Can we be outside of that? Getting partners and finding land, and basically how big of a space do we need, and who can partner with us, and those types of things before I go in and say, okay, bare minimum, what do we need?
Yeah.
Best case scenario, what do we want? And thankfully we've got a very, very, very good team admin guy who's been around for a long time, so he could tell me what we need and want very quickly.
All right, time to take the left turn and talk about what happened with Atlanta United and how we can apply that going forward. I know that we talk about quicksand a lot. We talk about those kinds of things. How much passive, with everything going on in Rhode Island, how much passive interest, looking at scores and things like that, were you looking at with Atlanta United in Nashville last time out?
Yeah, I didn't see the game, but I saw the highlights, followed it a little bit, have read a little bit, and yeah, disappointing, especially in the second half, where you're tied and it's a home game and we're struggling. You'd think that we would have been the aggressors and been on top. So to see that we were second best in the second half, and honestly fortunate to get a draw, rather than really unlucky that. And they've had a couple unlucky results during this run, but yeah, I think that was disappointing for sure.
So when you have a lead and you're trying to not make mistakes and preserve that lead with everything that has happened in recent history, when you're talking to your mentees about trying to preserve something, it's like, okay, something good happens after a run of bad has happened, however you want to phrase bad. Something good happens, and trying to build off of a good thing after a run of bad things. When you have these conversations with your mentees, how do they respond about that moment, that one moment of good, and you're trying to get them to build on it and trying not to have them be afraid of that good moment, which I think sometimes during this run, you might be afraid of success. Do you talk to your mentees about dealing with success and not being afraid of it when you have that one moment?
Yeah, totally. And even as you're talking, I'm thinking about injuries too. It's the same thing of not being afraid to be healthy. And that is a thing. Yeah, that's really tough because, when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, Atlanta United has never really been built to just win 1-0, right? That's not the identity of the club. Right. So I get that it's difficult when you haven't won and you get a lead to say, okay, can we just and win 1-0? Because, man, I'd want them to have the approach of like, hey, we're playing at home. With all due respect to an average Nashville team, like, let's pound them. Let's set it and set the standard here and get back to it and win this game 3-0. It's there for the taking. Nashville obviously is a decent team, but no one's going to say that they're one of the best in MLS. And I know that they just put 7 on Chicago the week before, so it's probably not right for me to say that, but it's the truth. And so yeah, just unbelievably crazy right now there in Atlanta. But as far as with mentees, yeah, we definitely want them to, hey, focus on our positives and definitely to your point of not being afraid of success, because it takes a lot to have success and they put in a lot of work. And so we want to celebrate those successes when we have them, and know that you've earned them, right? These successes aren't lucky. But you're right. Teams, players can be scared of success, and scared of health when they're not used to it.
How do you get in your messaging and in the conversations that you have with Greg? How do you guys sit there and kind of grab a mentee by the shoulders or whatever and point to the empirical evidence? It's like, look, you can do this. We've seen it. I know that with peer pressure and a lot of things that that are environmental, it sometimes is really difficult to push through and accept that first good moment and sit there and it's like, okay, we can add to it. How do you impress upon a mentee it's like, look, you've done this. How difficult is it to impress upon a mentee to build on success these days? Because the whole put some dirt on it, rub it, and get back out there generation. That's when I was in school back in the late 1800s. But and I would imagine it's different. But when you have these kinds of conversations, what are they like about perseverance and pushing through?
Yeah, we say, if it seems too big, then the first step just needs to be smaller.
Yeah.
Right. Take a small win. Right. Take a good half and be happy with that, and then start again fresh second half. Okay, win the second half. That type of thing. Win, and if you're somebody that gets subbed in, subbed out, like just win that time period that you're on the field. Right. Feel good about that win. Reset and go win the next one when you're out there. Right. So we try and chunk it a little bit to try and build, like you said, build upon successes is definitely an easy way to gain confidence and to grow into it. So helping them just reframe of what is a win and how can I feel good about myself, because those things can change, right, from player to player, and within a game. Those goalposts are always changing, and if we need small wins, we can create small wins to feel good about that, to build up and hopefully build upon bigger wins.
How difficult is it to have them focus on a small win? Because I know that they want to focus on the big picture and the finish line and all these things. It's like, okay, we got a lead and, winning and all this kind of stuff. But sometimes sequential is the best way to go about it. But I know that we're all into the instant gratification these days. And it's like the quick result. And it's like focusing on the end instead of focusing on everything in the middle to get to the end. How different is it to sit there and remind them about the small stuff to get to the larger stuff when we all want to jump to the end of the book to find out who committed the murder anyway?
For sure. And what we try and tell them is, if you start big picture season, right, it's all a bunch of smaller games. And a game is all a bunch of smaller moments. So these small moments matter. Every small moment within a game dictates how the game goes from there on out. And so, yeah, we want to win our little moments. And, every moment doesn't necessarily mean a win or a loss, obviously. But they can be small things that we can build upon, and they set the tone for the game. And so, yeah, and we also talk about, we can separate the team performance from the individual performance, right? So, okay, focus on the individual performance here for a minute and win your battles. Do what you need to do. And if everybody on the team is doing that, the team is going to be able to do that as a group. Now, of course, there's times where, okay, we need to focus on the team and what's best for the team. And, as far as like, oh, do I need to pass this ball or shoot this ball? Or do I go for my hat trick? Or do I play like a good teammate and things like that? But those are, different times. And, more of the time we have to say, okay, how can I help my team? What are the small wins that I can create? Because again, small moments, that's what leads to big moments.
How difficult is it to separate being afraid to fail and understanding that failures can lead to successes? Because I know at times they seem like they're 180 degrees from each other, but I think that there are times when they can blend and you can learn from one to the other. How do you get them to understand that there's a blend here, that bad can lead to good, instead of having the bad weigh you down and turn it into more things that could be bad?
It's tough. That's one of the toughest things. And what makes it even tougher is parents on the sideline freaking out over every play and over every loss and everything, because then the kids are picking up on that, saying, well, losing is so bad. And yeah, of course, we want to breed some competitiveness and the desire to win for sure. But no doubt, you can't have success without losing. And we say athletes, they lose the most out of any person and job out there, right? If a person that didn't have an athletic job lost and didn't have success as much as an athlete did, they'd get fired.
Yeah.
They'd lose their job. But we as athletes can lose, and we lose a lot, and you're going to lose a lot, and that's going to happen. And so how can you learn from it? How can you get better from it, right? Is it poor me? Why me? It's not my fault. Coach's fault, this, that, right? Or do you take ownership? And if you can take ownership of things and grow from it, you'll lose a lot less in the long run.
Michael Parkhurst hanging out with us here at MF Parkhurst on the 280 character app, at BG Mentoring on said 280 character app, beyondgoalsmentoring.com here on the Friday Free Kick. When you discuss failure and being in a funk and snapping out of it and all these kinds of things, I would imagine, I mean, you mentioned failure in athletes. I mean, Tony Gwynn was a failure 70% of the time, and he's a Hall of Famer, and that's, I don't think that folks may necessarily look at it that way. Yeah, Tony Gwynn, he was a career, 335 hitter. He failed 2 out of 3 times, and he's one of the best that ever performed in his sport. When you got into a funk as a professional athlete, how did you shake yourself out of it, and do you get to apply those same kinds of principles today as a mentor to the next generation to get them out of funks?
Yeah, getting into funks is challenging, and sometimes it can happen quick for whatever reason. And for me, there were definitely some moments where I just felt like I wasn't playing great. Was I playing terrible? Like, no, I wasn't playing terrible game in and game out, but there were moments and runs where it was like, man, I'm just not playing up to the standard. And or it was like every mistake I'm making right now is leading to a goal. Versus when things are going well as a defender, you could trip over the ball and give the guy a breakaway and he shanks it, or the goalie saves it, or whatever. But when things aren't going well, you make one half bad pass, they pick it off, one pass in the back of the net.
Yep.
And it just seems like there's moments and there's runs that you go on, and that happens. I don't know why. It's just the way it is, and really nothing can get you out of it other than staying the course and continuing to show up at practice and do the small things and, get back to enjoying the game. Because when you're in these moments, it's easy not to enjoy it and to just complain about anything and everything. But that becomes really contagious within the locker room that I've seen.
Yeah.
So, I hope that the environment at Atlanta United right now is not that. And maybe that's why they brought the therapy dogs in the other day.
Hey, look, I mean, you know what Deacon does for you inside the Parkhurst household. Am I right?
Sure do.
Uh-huh. So it's like Deacon's the boss, or boss B, and it's like it's the whole. There you go. I don't think Deacon has moved since the last time we talked. but and that's the thing. It's like when you're surrounded by, or when negative energy is around you, I think that. So then let me ask this: we know what negative energy can be. What is more contagious these days in the conversations that you have with your mentees? Negative energy spreading or positive energy spreading?
Well, it's proven that negativity spreads a lot faster than positivity.
Okay.
So that has the power to be more contagious, much more easily.
Yeah.
But positivity can also affect other people and be contagious, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that's why it says, one bad apple, right? One bad apple can really affect quickly a group a lot faster than one positive person can bring positivity with them throughout a whole group. So that's a challenge, and that's why you try not to have too many of those guys around.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, I really like the question Emilio put out there when we're talking about positivity, because he asks about a home crowd. Can it be too much at times and cause anxiety? It's not a stupid question at all, because I literally think that's what's going on at Manchester United.
Okay.
And when I watch them play and I hear the crowd, and especially when you see Anthony do so poorly for Manchester United, leave, and then all of a sudden go back to the player he was at, where it was, PSV.
Yeah.
Now that he's in Spain. And I definitely think a home crowd can play factor in this. And I'm not blaming a home crowd. I think players need to be able to stand up and put their shoulders out and, and stick their chest out and bring it on and really rise above it. But, you don't want to disappoint a crowd, and that, oh, shoot, if we don't play well, they might boo us. And, they have high expectations. And so that's why sometimes teams play a little bit better on the road, where they don't have the pressure of needing to win or expecting to win in front of their home crowd. So yeah, it's tough, but every player would rather have a huge home crowd than not. So they need to be able to deal with it.
Yeah. When you look at the idea of, we've been talking with Greg, and Greg has been mentioning about competitive stress and things like that. I would think that competitive stress is multiplied at home, especially as things are not going well. And everybody talks about, hey, getting away from home, and it might be, something to flip the switch and have you go the other way. When it comes to, competitive stress and in a home arena environment, did you want to get off the schneid more at home, or just get off the schneid wherever it happened and then build on it from there? Did it mean more when you snapped a streak, personally at home, or just whenever I did it, and then I build on it from there?
Didn't matter. Didn't matter at all. Home or away, own goal or 5-0 performance. Literally take whatever. Honestly, sometimes I think it a little bit more away from home, because it's tougher to win away from home. And sometimes I can bond a group a little bit, right? And then usually the next game's at home. Okay, can we build on this? Versus, you're supposed to win your home games, especially against most teams, right? There's very few teams in MLS where they come into the Benz and you're like, we might not win this one.
Yeah.
Right. But most teams that come in, you expect to win. So that's where the expectations can lead to more pressure and more stress.
Nothing like. All right. So let me go with Dell here. What was the favorite time of day to play matches? Night, afternoon, or midday?
I disliked the most a 1 p.m. game.
First one out of the blocks.
Or earlier, and those were rare. Usually, for some reason, Canadians like those. So every now and then we had them. And the reason why I disliked it the most is because your pregame meal, you're having it like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning, and it's just weird. You're used to having chicken and pasta and that type of stuff, and so then all of a sudden, are you waking up at 6 o'clock to have breakfast, so then you can have a normal pregame meal, or are you just having one meal? It's weird. So I really disliked anything before like 3 o'clock. That said, I really like anywhere between a 4 and a 6 p.m. kickoff. Most of the time,
he says.
It gets there's different factors that come into it, because I love the early kickoff, because a 7:30 game, it's really difficult after the game to eat, hydrate, and get a good night's sleep. It's very, very difficult, home or away. And so that was a challenge always. But if it's hot out, I'd rather kick off at 9 p.m. I don't care.
Yeah.
So, if you're playing in Orlando, basically any time of year, 7:30, great. But if you're playing at the Benz, yeah, give me a nice 5 o'clock kickoff. Perfect.
And so Dell kind of answers, brings another question in that would kind of relate to your time there in Rhode Island and getting Tidewater Landing off and running. Can you sleep at all after an intense game?
It's tough, especially in the late game, right? You get on this high, and it's very difficult to come back down after the game, right? So, yeah, it's not uncommon for guys to be up until like 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning after a game, just because you're wired and you just can't rest, right? You're physically tired, but the brain won't shut off, or the mind, and it's difficult. So yeah, it's tough.
So after you got to move chairs and move drink machines and everything, and the match against San Antonio, did you crash immediately, or were you still up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning?
No, I mean, it was a 4:30 game, so I went out to dinner with some people afterwards, and we actually called it. I was expecting maybe that we'd have a kind of a rowdy night, but everyone was so tired that I was asleep by 10:30, I think.
But that does not surprise me one bit because everything that you've invested to that particular point makes perfect sense. Okay. Last time you were on, we had a guest collision. And so we're going to have another guest collision. And it is time to bring in someone that you may know. And as we start hour number 2, we bring in Ozzie Alonso to the show. And so Ozzie, Parky, Ozzie, and
Hey,
Nelly.
Ozzie.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, man.
That's
Everything
good.
good? Family good?
Everyone's doing really well. How about yours? Are you
Good,
living
good,
down in
yeah.
Atlanta still?
I still here?
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah. It's nice to see you, man.
And
You as well.
so Michael Parkhurst, your question for Ozzie Alonso, now that he is on this side of the camera, what is your first question for Ozzie Alonso on a Freestyle Friday?
I'll ask the same question I did Bradley Wright Phillips. I said, what's the toughest part of your new job, right? Of being on the other side in front of the camera and working games and things. Like, what's the toughest part of that?
Yeah, it's different. It's hard, being this side, talking about the game. But the more difficult part for me was like the camera, talking on time, be there, the moving. But everything else, like talking about the game, is more easy. But the camera, when they're talking in the ear, yeah,
Just distracting.
yeah.
What about in this? I think I would have trouble doing this a little bit. Guys that guys that you played with, whatever, and they don't have a good game or they don't have a good performance. Is it difficult to point those things out? And
yes, that's the one I say. Yeah, it's hard when you play with some guy and you play for many games and he's a friend of you, and you want to say something. You have to be careful, because you were there, you play the game, and sometimes you make a mistake and you don't want to hear somebody like saying something about you. But yeah, we try to like say something like global, not to hurt the guy. But yeah, sometimes you have to say it because if you see something, you have to point it.
Yeah, it's part of the job.
Yeah.
All right. So as we bid adieu to Deacon and Michael Parkhurst, what's the latest at Beyond Goals Mentoring, sir?
I got to jump over to a marketing call with Beyond Goals right now. No, we're getting things prepared for the summer, doing some different things around summertime with the kids, and gearing up for a Thanksgiving camp. So getting things prepared for that.
As always, my friend, great to see you when you can hop on with us at 9:30 on Friday mornings. We're going to spend time with Osvaldo Alonso and find out about TV analyst Osvaldo Alonso now.
See you, Ozzie.
Yeah, thank you.
Be good. All right. There goes Parky. All right, Ozzie. And you mentioned, first off, I have an official title that I have to bestow upon you here. Studio analyst for MLS Season Pass on Apple TV, on the Spanish studio team for MLS 360, and on El Resumen. First off, congratulations. You mentioned what it's like. How does it feel to be on this side of the camera?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me here to the show.
Yeah.
It's been great. It's something that I never done it before. So this opportunity came to me and I take it like right away. And, it's been great. It's been 2 months now talking about the game. Yeah, we do like resuming, La Previa, and 360. And it's been great, talking about the game, seeing the MLS from the other side of the field. And, I'm kind of like, I'm excited to be doing this for the league and for me.
And you mentioned one of the most difficult aspects of being on this side of the camera, where you have to kind of cut your head in half and listen to the folks behind the camera with one ear and listen to what's going on in studio with the other ear. Are you still trying to cut your head in half? Have you kind of gotten used to the half conversations? Where's your head right now?
In the beginning, it was very, very difficult. But right now, I'm going to get used to. And now I forget about anything else. I focus on what I do. When they talk to me, I hear, but I can keep doing my speech. And, it's been great. So far, it's been good. I improve every day. I feel more confident right now. So I'm very excited to do this in TV right now.
Stretch, Ozzie, stretch. We need you to
Yeah,
stretch. Yeah, literally.
finish. Don't do it. Yeah,
Yeah, rap.
cut it out.
Ozzie, cut, stop, rap. Those
Cut, stop.
exactly.
Don't talk.
Was this something that you'd always wanted to do when your playing career was over, to head into the TV side and the analyst side of things?
To be honest, no. It's something like come out. I'm very open to any opportunity. I came from Cuba. A lot of hope in this country. And when I finished my career, they called me to do this job as analyst in the studio in Spanish side. I said, yeah, it's talking about the game. I know it's gonna be difficult in the beginning, but it's talking about the game that I know, the league that I played for many years. So I take it like serious, and I'm very very excited to do it. I didn't know that I had this talent in my background, so I'm very happy to be there.
And because you never know when you're going to get called in to sit there, and it's like, okay, we need you to play up top today, and that's what you're doing right now on
Exactly
the TV side of things. I do want to talk about Atlanta United specifically. I do have an Atlanta United 2 question for you as we go here. But as we are 1/3 of the way through the season, and I asked this question at Bradley Wright Phillips when he was on with us, we have the good, the bad, and the ugly from the first third of the season. Let's take it one character at a time, and you can go wherever you want. Either the good, the bad, or the ugly. Which category would you choose to talk about first, and who's in it?
The good.
All right. So who's your good so far at 1/3 done?
I think Almiron, Latela, they are good. I think Miggy is doing good. Playing outside of the field is difficult for him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
When you move him to the middle, he got more chance. He create more opportunity. He can combine more with Latela. But when he play outside of the field, it's difficult for him because he tend to go inside to create opportunity and leave a space in the side. So I think it's the good part of the team. The bad part is the defense, in my opinion. Sometimes you have to be more nasty, more aggressive, more commitment. I don't see any leadership in the back line except Brad. Brad Dusan is there, but we need somebody in the field that step up, be a leader for the team. Like say, let's go, guys, come on. We're losing, no problem. We have to score 1 goal, no problem. I don't see that guy. He's there, but I don't see that guy like showing up on the field.
And when you have a teammate get hip checked, plowed through, whatever, and you want your teammates to jump into that pile, you want to stick up for your teammates, you want to stand up for your teammates. How do you in a locker room tell your teammates, dude, we need to step up for each other here when that needs to happen? What are those conversations like in a locker room? I need you to stand up with me to help out against these kinds of opponents that are playing kind of rough and we're not getting calls.
Yeah, first of all, to say that in the locker room, you have to show on the field. You have to lead by example. When you lead by example in the game, you got the freedom to say in the locker room. You have the sprinting guy, the guy like play good, your main guy, like you go close to him and say, hey guy, we have to do this one because if for a team we need a cohesion. We don't have any cohesion right now. The team look like separate, like you see people don't talk in the field. I don't see the union in the field. It's difficult when you don't have that connection with the play. We have to stick together, talk. The season is young still. MLS, 2-3 games, you win and you jump to the playoff spot. So I think you have to be more focused, commitment to the team, and they have time.
And when you look at obviously with Atlanta United, there's a lot of promise there from your perspective. With a lot of time left in the season, you get on a good run. You've got 3 games in a week at points. You sit there and you win 2 of those 3. You get 7 points. You're in the playoff picture. These kinds of things. How difficult is it for an athlete in Major League Soccer to navigate and to work through 3 matches in a week, to go weekend, midweek, weekend? How hard is that these days in Major League Soccer?
It's pretty hard, but when you're young, you have the energy. You can play 3 games easy. You have to prepare mentally with that schedule. Like you have to play Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. But we got the result. We got the training. We got the facility to play Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, and perform at high level. I think every player know when we play that type of tight game and difficult game, you have to travel, play Wednesday, come back, play at home. But people prepare. You know you can do it. You're capable to do it because we have everything to perform every single game, every single weekend in the field.
Osvaldo Alonso, studio analyst, MLS Season Pass on Apple TV, Spanish studio team, La Previa, MLS 360, El Resumen, hanging out with us here on a Freestyle Friday on SDHAM. For teams, when you look at the teams so far this season in Major League Soccer, who has surprised you on the field so far this year?
Wow, Vancouver. Definitely. Vancouver it's been great. I think the Sorensen, the coach, is doing fantastic, great job. He made the team play together, and you can see every weekend, every week, they're doing so good. They're playing the high level. They're in the final, CONCACAF Champion Cup,
Yeah.
first place in the West. So the midfield, the defense, the forward, you can see they play as a family. They have good cohesion of the team. I think they surprise me a lot, to be honest.
Then what about LA Galaxy with their start at 083?
In the other side, yeah. The champion winless is hard. They lost last game with Kansas City without receiving any shot on goal. It's unbelievable. I think missing Ricky Push is hard for them, but for me also losing Jovelis is difficult too because they are the forward kind of forward that he creates their own chance. Sometimes you need that forward like run on behind or make that play, and right now they don't have it. I think Ramirez and Miguel Berry, I don't see that type of forward like they can create a chance. They can take 1v1. The defense, they're more like in the middle, waiting for the cross or good pass. But I think they're missing Ricky Push, definitely, and Djokovic.
And you sold him to Kansas City.
Yeah.
Because you're hoping that Diego Fagundes, Christian Ramirez, Miguel Berry, they can help step up and be the substitutes there, and that hasn't come out. And Marco Royce, you're hoping that those folks can step in, and they haven't yet. And I know that a lot of folks in LA who are fans of the Galaxy are anxious about that. Who is if you cast a ballot right now, who would be your most valuable player in Major League Soccer 1/3 of the way through the season?
Oof, difficult. Can I name two players?
You can't. Hey, it's your ballot. You can do whatever you like.
So I want to call Pedro Vite.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Mm-hmm.
He's different. His skill, his work ethic, his commitment of the team in Vancouver. It's been great. It's been fantastic for Vancouver. And the other player, I say Diego Rossi. It's been amazing from Columbus. They lost Cucho Hernandez. They've been playing amazing. They keep the philosophy of the team, keep the ball, and he take the responsibility to be the guy. He scored goal, assist, and for me the other two, for now, so far, MVP of the team, of the league.
And then you bring in somebody like Daniel Gazdag from Philadelphia, and you buy him to help out what's going on with Columbus. Hey, we're not scoring goals. What do we do? Well, why don't we buy Daniel Gazdag from Philly? Philly's like, okay, cool. And we're just going to take the money and stuff it under the cushions in the bed and not do anything with it. Atlanta United. So with what happened with Nashville, with the run of form that they've had, they get the lead. And then the rest of the match, Nashville's dominating. You know that goal is going to happen because they have possession like 70% of the time after the 30th minute. The equalizer comes. When you had teams that were having poor runs of form, but you knew you could do better. How difficult was it to push through the bad and get back to the good? How hard is that for a professional athlete?
It's hard, but only take one victory. I think Atlanta had to find a way, no matter how, that to win a game, to give the player more confident, to the coach more confident, because they play good for moment. I think against Nashville they have a good first half. In the second half they're more sloppy. Like I don't see that desire to win the game. They close down the game. I think Brad make a great save to save them in the backs. So I think winning one game is gonna give them the next step to keep climb the standing.
And we do have folks that are watching and commenting as we go here. And we do have some folks in Charleston who are watching.
Oh, wow.
And they wanted to know what you think about the current Charleston Battery team and the ownership and the stadium at Patriots Point. What do you think about what's going on in Charleston right now? How much do you keep in touch with that?
To be honest, I haven't been in touch with them really much. But the only thing I can say is Charleston is the city, the team that gave me opportunity to play in United States, was the bridge to join MLS, and I'm very proud to be part of that thing in the moment. The only thing I can say, I don't follow the thing much, and I always wish the best for them.
Because you're kind of busy doing stuff.
Yeah, really busy. Yeah,
with MLS 360.
It's different. Yeah, now to dig in the MLS, study. Yeah, it's
How much studying do you have to do now? How many games do you watch before you get into studio where you have all of the games happening in front of you? What's study hall like for you these weeks?
Yeah, a lot. We had to start the whole game with a lot of game, watching highlight, standing, who is the best player, who make a mistake, what is the record of the team. And it's a lot of thing MLS, so we have to keep an eye in everything, every aspect. So in the weekend, do my research, watching highlight, going inside a lot of app, looking for numbers, and when I had to say something, you have to be right, you have to be precise. Yeah.
If I had you get a credential to walk into the Atlanta United locker room before this matchup against Chicago this weekend, what would you tell them heading into that matchup against Chicago?
Yeah, first, I want to say, guys, forget about everything that happened in the past. Past is past. You cannot do nothing. The only thing we can do is today against Chicago, tough thing. We have to perform. We have to be a team that we are, because we have the talent, we have the play, we have the quality. The only thing we have to do is perform and win the game.
Sounds pretty solid. I like that idea. So my last question for you is kind of like a gear question, an Atlanta United 2 question. I will say this: when you had your rehab assignment with Atlanta United 2, and you had one of the coolest jersey numbers I've ever seen. You were in the 80s wearing a number for Atlanta United 2, and I'm sitting there going, man, they need to sell that because I'd be the first one buying it and hanging it in my studio space. Are you the kind of guy that keeps your jerseys from all your different stops? Do you have them all in frames someplace off camera?
Yeah, I have those jerseys. I used the 85 because, like you say, I was in my rehab from my ACL injury.
Yeah.
So when I come back, I wanna wear number 6, but the number 6 was taken for somebody else. So I say, let me take the 85, the year that I bought. So that's kind of like I take the 85.
Okay. I was trying to figure out where the 85 came from. All right. So last question for you from one of our A-listers, Abby. Your favorite Cuban restaurant here in Atlanta?
Oof.
And if
Lázaro.
Lázaro. Okay, Lázaro. Okay.
Yeah, it's in Roswell. Yeah.
Okay, because I was going to say, man, if you had more than one, just kind of like your MVP votes, if
I got few, but Lázaro is pretty good.
Okay. All right. So once again, thank you for coming on the morning show and laying everything out for us. It's great to have you on this side of the camera where we can trade notes and everything and learn how to cut your head in half and have conversations, listen to one part, listen to another part. Once again, studio analyst, MLS Season Pass, Apple TV, Spanish Studio, La Previa, MLS 360, El Resumen. Did I forget anything?
No, you're good.
I'm glad.
You study.
No, it's all good, man. It's glad you got to catch up with Parky for half a second, and glad you could come on the show. The way that this works, and you can tell BW, and I've told BWP the same thing. I said, now that you know how to drop in on a Friday, you can drop in on a Friday. If you're bored, if you want to come in and talk in this second hour when we have chaos and we're previewing everything on the weekend, you're like, hey, I want to go crash that morning show and talk to whoever's out there, and I want to talk about what's going on this weekend. You have the keys to the front door. You can crash in anytime. You've got the garage door opener. You come in through the garage. You can sit down. You can hang out with us. So now you know if you're bored, you want to come in and talk, you can do it. You have an open door policy here at SDHAM. Ozzie, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming in. Do not be a stranger. It's going to be a long season. Thanks for dropping by.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure to spend time with you today. And yeah, we'll be back. I promise.
See, he's promised.
Thank you so much.
All right, be good, Ozzie. We'll catch up with you soon. So Ozzie Alonso dropping by. How cool was that? That's fantastic. And once again, thanks to our buddy Kirk Reynolds at MLS and Apple TV to have all of this stuff happen. Tyler Terrence, BWP, Ozzie Alonso. It is the star. It is the cavalcade of stars that drops by at 10 o'clock on Friday mornings to kind of let everything happen. And so, like I said, like I tell everybody that drops in, you got the keys to the kingdom. Come on in. We'll talk. Doesn't matter what day of the week it is. If it's an open slot, just let us know. But once again, thanks to Kirk Reynolds at the league office for helping facilitate those kinds of things and get us all squared away with everything going on here on the planet. All right, let's say hi to everybody and get through all of the promos and everything else that's going on. Happy Friday, David. Morning, Alex. Morning, Abby. Morning, Ricky Ricardo. Chile tomorrow for the match. 60 at kickoff. Well, and you've also got the winds blowing off of the lake into the spaceship, so anything is humanly possible. So, Abby, we will get into high school soccer, what happened last night, and get you set up for today. We'll get into that. Yeah, I know. Ricky's like, Leo the 14th might get him a Pope bump, but I don't know. Was he a Fire fan? All the confusion about him, apparently, yeah, he's a Cubs fan. No, brother came out and said, no, he's a Sox fan. Mom was a Cubs fan. He's a Sox fan. So maybe he is a tortured sports soul. And with the time that he spent in Peru and the U.S., Jarrett had him, it's like, look, and Nick is like, look, we get CONMEBOL all over the place now. So spent time in Peru, spent time in the U.S. You have a CONMEBOL influenced Pope. That's what you're getting at. So let's see. Abby and Ricky. Ricky has found out that he's going to be a part of the pre-match ceremonies. Very, very cool. That's awesome. Take the flag home with you. Or like if they give you one of those shiny pieces of floppy metal that you have to sit there and wave in the stands like that. Or, if you get like the big banner, you get the big flag that you can plant in your backyard, maybe do something like that, or take it and string it across like your office, something like that. Make sure that you can take a lot of stuff home yes, show and tell. Yeah, absolutely. Need a day post Club World Cup where I let everybody show and tell their experience. Absolutely. I like that idea. We need to do it after the Club World Cup. We need to have one of our public gatherings where everybody can just kind of bring stuff, and we just kind of have everyone assembly line. Here's what happened to me. Here's what happened to me. Here's what happened to me. So Club World Cup. Let's see. So, yes, Habemos Papa. Absolutely true, Emilio. That is absolutely true. All right. So let's see. Aston Villa, Newcastle in August in Nashville. Morning, David. Let's see. Morning, Evan. Been a while. Evan, thanks for asking about that, because I think that was why Parky was talking about all the infrastructure and everything, because of that question there. Alex was driving, didn't have a problem with it. Got the season's third shirt and has the early round 80s round in UFC with the magpie. Okay. Yeah, Alex reminded me. Yeah, didn't we redesign our logo to make it easier to reproduce? Yes, we did. I will give Florida State credit though. The turquoise colored line of gear as an homage to the Seminole tribe themselves. And I know as an alum that we do that all of the gear that is produced is done with consultation with the Seminole tribe. And then it's produced and then you get revenue sharing and all that kind of stuff, as you well should. But with the turquoise line that you could not keep, you could not keep that in stores. That was a great idea. I probably have more turquoise stuff than I do garnet and gold. I love that idea. They need to produce more. But yes, we did make it easier to reproduce, and yeah, nothing bad happened on the field. And don't even remind me of about Mike Norvell. So morning, Dell. Dell got to see Parky and started running the Charleston, Rhode Island smack. That's always good. Let's see. So yes, and Mother's Day is this weekend. So once again, remember, folks. Remember Mother's Day. Get your gear squared away and get your gifts squared away. And we did take care of master prodigality. We did take care of that one. Let's see. So Dell, I'm very impressed with what they're doing at Rhode Island. Won in the playoffs, but earlier this season it went to the Battery. Definitely going to be catching up with them. Yes, and so let's see. Abby and Dell and Alex and yeah, more nasty. That was Kyle. That's why I kind of wanted to bring that up, because when you have somebody like Ozzie Alonso, who is nasty, you bring up that question to someone who has that streak of nasty in him, and that's why I wanted to see what his response was when he's been looking at Atlanta United and seeing how they are physically on the field. Ben Bender to the Union. Okay. Morning, Rich. So official Ben Bender. Morning, Bam. And let's see. So Abram with the brace. Yes. Yeah, watching FSU softball. Yeesh. Wow. Yeah, the newer logo, Abby, at Florida State, it's a little bit too aerodynamic for my picking. But yeah, I love the turquoise stuff. And yes, always good for the smack talk, especially involving Dell with Rhode Island and Charleston. Okay, so what we need to do before we get out of here is we need to look at juice boxes. We need to do the game previews. We need to find out what our ref assignments are. And we also need to see if we know what our announcer assignments are and find out what's going on. Atlanta United right now is practicing on Friday. They're off on Thursdays. And so it's a bit of a flip in the schedule where you have, instead of being off on Friday and easing into travel and leaving and heading to Chicago, day before, you are now you're practicing and heading into all of your pre-match T-24 window, and it's at practice this morning instead of taking today off and leading into your weekend play. I kind of understand it if I'm trying to process it properly, where instead of having a day off, you're out of rhythm. So like you practice Monday through Thursday, you don't practice on Friday for a Saturday or a Sunday, then you kind of dump out of your rhythm a little bit and you're just kind of like, and then it takes a little while for the engine to kick back in when you're trying to get all squared away. So I understand it. It's atypical, but I understand it. We do have our announcer assignments, by the way, for match day 12. Neil Sika, Lloyd Sam are going to be calling the match for Chicago and Atlanta. It is Keith and Mo on Loons and Messi and Friends. You've got Blaze Price and Paul Dolan calling the match in Toronto against DC United. 7:30s, Tyler and Kendra. It is Austin at FC Cincinnati. Sika and Sam, once again, NYC and Montreal. Kanji and Danny doing Red Bull, so it's a home game for Kanji and Danny. Red Bulls and LAG. Christian Miles, Lori Lindsay are calling the purple team and the Revs. Callum and Kalen are calling the late start. It's an 8:30 for Philadelphia and Columbus. Josh Eastern, Jamie Watson, FCD and Real Salt Lake. Mark Followell, Warren Barton. It's a bit of a home match for Mark Followell. He doesn't have to leave the state of Texas. It is Houston and Seattle. Tony Husband, Ross Smith. It's a home game for Tony Husband, calling Nashville and Charlotte. Nate Bicady, Devin Kerr, calling all Caps in San Diego. Rogo and Heath Pierce, calling Colorado and San Jose. Max and Dunny, calling Sporting and Portland. And SNS is Jake, Taylor, and Andrew, calling Whitecaps and LAFC. So that's your rundown for your announcer assignments. Once again, don't forget the local broadcaster option for local radio. I still wish that there was a way that Major League Soccer would do away radio, and all it is taking an additional audio cable and patching it in from the visiting radio booth into the truck. Of course, I'm also operating under the premise that there is another audio input and output from the production truck to ship it to Apple TV so you can get the away calls for those that are on site. So like I said, that's me thinking aloud when it comes to those assignments. Okay, match day 12. We're going to go through the ref assignments, let you know who's going where before we get into juice boxes and lay out all the other news. We do now have our start times and our dates for the round of 16 in the U.S. Open Cup. 15 of the 16 are Major League Soccer. So match day 12, Lucas Zapala is the man in the middle. Chris Elliott, Ryan Graves, your ARs. Elvis Osmanovic is your fourth. Kevin Stott is your VAR. And Claudio Badea, they are upstairs. Lucas Zapala is downstairs. Philip Dujic is doing the Loons and Messi and Friends. Corey Parker, Walt Heatherly, Lorenzo Hernandez, your ARs in your fourth. VAR, Carol Ann Chenard, Jonathan Johnson is with her upstairs. Toronto and DC, Marcus de Oliveira is the man in the middle. Kevin Klinger, Gianni Facchini, Mario Al-Ayas, your crew downstairs, your ARs in your fourth. Sean Tahini and Kyle Atkins, your VAR and your AVAR. FC Cincinnati and Austin at TQL, Tori Penso, Brooke Mayo, Megan Mullen, Sergei Demyanchuk. So Sergei Demyanchuk gets to hear Nico Estevez and Pat Noonan going back and forth with one another. Carol Ann Chenard is doing the 7:30 with Kyle Atkins after she's VARing Minnesota United and Messi and Friends. I've always wondered, and this might be a question for our friends at Pro, what it's like to do the quick turn, what it's like to do a back-to-back as a VAR. Is it just, wash, rinse, and repeat? Do you need a break? Are there studies in these kinds of things? Is it better to do it, back-to-backers because you're in that rhythm? So that's probably a question that needs to be reserved for VAR. Chris Penso. So Tori Penso's at TQL. Chris Penso is at NYC at Yankee Stadium in CF Montreal. I don't know what it is, but the bearded, short-cropped haired Chris Penso looks like he came off of like Ice Road Truckers these days or something. Chris Penso, man in the middle. Cameron Blanchard, Jeremy Hansen, Ricardo Montero Araya, your ARs in your fourth. Sean Tahini and TJ Zablocki are the folks upstairs. Red Bulls and LAG, Guido Gonzalez Jr. is the man in the middle. Ian McKay, Adam Garner, Pierre-Luc Lozier is your fourth. Eunice Marakchi, Mike Kampmeinert are the ones upstairs. Purple team in the Revs, Rubiel Vasquez is the man in the middle. Corey Richardson, Red Hamill, and Elton Garcia, your ARs in your fourth. Daniel Radford, Jonathan Johnson are upstairs. Subaru Park, Malik Badawi has Philadelphia and Columbus crew. Jose de Silva, Eric Weisbrod, John Matto, your ARs in your fourth. Soren Stoichka, the man upstairs, along with Fabio Tovar. Rosendo Mendoza has FCD and RSL. Jeffrey Schwartzel, Stephen McGonigal, and Corbin May, your ARs in your fourth. Kevin Terry Jr. is upstairs, along with Joseph Batko. Houston and Seattle, Victor Rivas, the man in the middle. Felicia Mariscal is with Diego Blas. Luis Diego Arroyo is your fourth. Jorge Gonzalez and Craig Lowry are upstairs. Nashville, Alexis De Silva and Charlotte. Chris Wadham, Seth Barton, Atahan Yaya, your ARs in your fourth. Edvin Jurasevich and Kevin Locke are upstairs. All Caps in San Diego at Energizer Park. Alan Chapman is the man in the middle. Callie Smith, Justin Howard, Abdu Njai are your ARs in your fourth. Michael Radchuk and Tom Supple are upstairs. Rapids in San Jose, Eliho Aragin is the man in the middle. Anticipate a whole lot of fouls called in that one. Logan Brown, Corey Rockwell, your ARs. Sergi Boyko is your fourth. Kevin Stott and Joshua Patlak are upstairs. Portland and Sporting, Ricardo Fierro, the man in the middle. Stefan Tanaka-Freund, Ben Pilgrim, your ARs. Adarai Munro is your fourth. Daniel Radford and TJ Zablocki are upstairs. Vancouver and LAFC, Joe Dickerson. Wow. Yeah, Rich, it's 7:30 for Philly and Columbus. I was reading the graphic on Apple TV. That's why it looked a little weird. So we'll go with 7:30, and we'll go back when we do juice boxes, and we'll double check and take 2 out of 3. Joe Dickerson gets Vancouver and LAFC. Beat 2, 3, 4. Michael Barwagon, Liaz Arfa, your ARs. Mo Moseni is your fourth. Edvin Jurasevich and Joshua Patlak are upstairs. All right, let's take a peek at the juice boxes and see if we can come up with a consensus. 2 out of 3 start time. I wanted to say it's a 7:30. The graphic for MLS Season Pass said 8:30, but we'll figure out. We'll see what it looks like, and then we'll do MLSsoccer.com and see if we can come up with 3 out of 4. In the juice boxes, lay it all out. Yeah, Bam, Joe. I think Bam saw that Joe Dickerson was there. Okay. Chicago and Atlanta. Chicago is a plus 110. Draws a plus 283. Atlanta United, the number has come down a little bit. They're still north of plus 200, but in the composite, they're plus 211. In our conversation that we had with Max Anderson yesterday, the play-by-play voice for Chicago Fire, question is, can they make the emergency one-time loan call-up to not have Jonathan Gall in net and Jeffrey Gall in net, and that be your keeper? What does it look like at the back? Offense is not the question for Chicago. Defense is. So that is the question for Chicago. Defensively, what does it look like, especially the back 5? Who's your starting keeper? What's your back 4? Offense is not the question. And they also played fairly full strength in the midweek against Union Omaha in Open Cup. How many minutes and who's going to be doing what? How much rotation is there in the side for Chicago Fire? What do you look like at the back 4 and in net? For Atlanta United, once again, what does it look like? Starting 11. 4-2-3-1. Who are your center backs? You figure it's going to be, we're keeping an eye on Pedro Amador and Brooks Lennon. What does it look on the edges? What do your 2 6s look like? Is it Bart and Mateus Click and Jay Fortune on the left wing? We do not have an update on Tristan Muyumba and how many weeks it's going to be before he is back up to full song. Because remember that you can sit there and say that it's going to be 3 weeks with an adductor, but everybody's adductor is different. Everyone's response to treatment is different and to rehab is different. So right now, it is the big 4. What is your 2 6s look like? What does the left wing look like? Those are the questions for Atlanta United. 4:30, you have the 2 matches, one north of the border, Loons and Messi and Friends. Loons are a plus 124. And like we said yesterday with Nico Moreno, Loons don't want the ball. They don't care. Force Inter Miami and Messi and Friends to do all the work. And you're going to defend. I'm thinking draw, which is at a plus 270. 0-0, 1-1, something like that. I'm not anticipating a whole lot of offense on a very, very angry Messi and Friends team just because of Minnesota being who they are. Plus 193 for Messi and Friends on the road. Toronto FC and DC United. Toronto FC is a plus 133. DC United a plus 189. Your draws a plus 252. Toronto favored at home because they're at home. I don't know what DC team we're getting. I understand why Toronto is favored. I really would watch Loons and Messi and Friends if I were you, since both are starting at 440. 7:30s, Cincinnati and Austin. Cincinnati on the minus side at a minus 123. Austin a plus 321. Draws a plus 276. Austin hopefully will wait another week or so before they figure out how to score in MLS play. They scored. They were down to El Paso Locomotive, came back, got the win in Open Cup. They advanced to the round of 16 once again. We'll take a peek at the round of 16 coming up in a bit. So Austin hasn't scored in Major League Soccer recently. FC Cincinnati at home should be a tough opponent for Austin. I've got to go Cincinnati here. NYC and CF Montreal. CF Montreal south of the border, they're a plus 350. NYC's a minus 133. Draws a plus 273. I would lean toward NYC in that one. Remember, we're supposed to call them NYC. Red Bulls and LAG. Red Bulls are a -120 in Harrison, New Jersey. LAG on the road north of +300, draws of +281. LAG until further notice, and we talked about their schedule. I don't know where a win's going to come in the rest of the month of May. I really don't. And that to me is probably one of the more shocking things that we're looking at when it comes to LAG. When you've got their schedule, once again, for those who may have missed it, looking at the schedule for LAG, you're 0-8-3 right now. You're at the bottom of the West. You are looking up at everybody, and you're like sitting because all the seats in the theater are taken, and you were like one of the last ones to come in. And the only ones that are there, like the three in the front row where you have to slide down all the way into your chair and look up, and the projector screen, it goes from one end of the planet to the other, and you can't take in all the information. Right now, LAG's in that front row of the movie theater, and they're looking up at everything. They've only scored 8 goals in 11 matches. They've given up 21. You're 0-8-3 in the first 11, 0-4-1 at home. And once again, here's the schedule for LAG for the rest of the month. It is at Red Bulls, midweek at Philly. Gee, thanks. My guess is they're not flying out, flying back, and flying back. They're going to stay out east. Then it's going to be El Tráfico on the 18th. So next Sunday night, late night, it's going to be El Tráfico. After that, you go to San Diego to Snapdragon. Then you host San Jose and you host Salt Lake. I could easily see them with 11 to 13 losses, and it would be RSL on the road at LAG on May 31st. That would be the win to start things off. You would be 0-13-3 if it holds to the matchup against RSL. Coming out of Cali Classico, coming out of SoCal Classico, or whatever they're calling San Diego and LA. The 6-1-9 and the 2-1-3, and you add them up, the 8-32 derby, I don't know. So you have Red Bulls on the road, Philly on the road, and El Tráfico, 3 matches in 8 days. I'm not looking too optimistically on that. So you'd be at 0-11-3 at that point. Then you go to San Diego. I'm not too keen on that one. Then you've got Cali Classico, and then you got RSL. Then in June, you got St. Louis, but this is on the road. You go to St. Louis. You've got the international break. Then you come back. You're on the road to St. Louis, on the road to Colorado, and then 3 days later, it's the reverse fixture in Cali Classico up at Stanford Stadium, and that gets you out of June. I am not optimistic with LAG getting to the halfway point, being where they are. End of the month, maybe. So LAG north of +300. Red Bulls, it's kind of closed a little bit, -120. Purple team and the Revs. Purple team a -164. The Revs are almost a +400. And the draw is almost a +300. I see the purple team here. I think it'll be tighter and tougher than a lot of folks may think. I would look at the total and see where you could get maybe 2.5. Maybe take the under there. Best match of the earlies, Philadelphia and Columbus, with Ben Bender, the new Philadelphia Union player, picked up on a free. Welcome, Ben Bender. Philadelphia's a +139. Crew's a +195. Your draw's a +235. This one it's going to be a tough one. Impassioned neutral observers, go watch this one. 8:30, which means 8:40. FCD hosting RSL at a +102. RSL's a +252. Draws a +261. Houston hosting Seattle. Sounders are a favorite on the plus side of the +159. Your draw's a +222. And Houston Dynamo's a +177. No room for a draw here. I think it's Seattle. Nashville and Charlotte in your 8:30s. Nashville on the minus side at a minus 118. Charlotte a plus 305 after their scare in the midweek where they rotated an Open Cup. Draws a plus 274. I don't know if I trust Nashville at a minus 118. I think the draw perhaps. And then Dean Smith will complain after the match about something. Last one at 840. It's all caps hosting San Diego. San Diego's a slight underdog at a plus 164. Your draws a plus 273. St. Louis City is a plus 143. 9:30, the Rapids and the Rabid Prairie Dogs hosting San Jose at a minus 115. San Jose is a plus 277, draws a plus 286, and the composite courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. 10:30, Portland minus 135 hosting Sporting at a plus 315. Once again, Sporting not really scoring, at least recently, but Kerry Zavagnin does have him somewhat turned around in form. Draws a plus 311. SNS Vancouver hosting LA. Vancouver is a plus 100 even money. Draws a plus 268. And LAFC is a plus 243. So, Rich, to our point, Odds Portal has Philadelphia and Columbus as a 740 start. And so, going 3 out of 4, which means that the graphic on the 280-character app is wrong in broadcast times. 7:30, 7:40, Philadelphia and Columbus at MLSsoccer.com. So please disregard the time that is listed on MLS On Air on their graphics until it changes from 8:30 to 7:30. Welcome, Ben Bender. So that's your rundown of all of your juice boxes and what it looks like going into the weekend. We mentioned we had the stories about Portugal and the relegation scrap. Let's get into your juice boxes in England. 5 on Saturday, 4 of them at 10 o'clock. There is no early. Fulham minus 115 hosting Everton. Ipswich a plus 450 hosting Brentford. Southampton a plus 1300 hosting Manchester City. Wolves a plus 172 hosting Brighton, who's a plus 152. Mateus Cunha is still trying to figure out an exit strategy. 12:30, the late game, Bournemouth and Aston Villa. Sneaky good game. Bournemouth a plus 141 at the Vitality. Draws a plus 265. Villa is a plus 177. Sunday, Newcastle plus 117 hosting Chelsea at a plus 212. Plus 273 on the draw. 9:15, 3 of them there. Manchester United hosting West Ham at a minus 109, coming off of playing in the midweek. 2 days rest. You get the extra day of recovery. And so Manchester United and Spurs both playing on Sunday. Manchester United, West Ham. Manchester United a minus 109, draws a plus 270. West Ham is a plus 289. Nottingham Forest with Leicester at a minus 294. Forest needs the points bad. We'll go over the standings in a sec. Leicester a plus 753. Your draws a plus 434. The other 9:15, Spurs and Crystal Palace. Spurs a plus 166. Slight dog at home to Crystal Palace, who's a plus 148. 11:30, Liverpool and Arsenal. Liverpool obviously is going to have no Trent Alexander-Arnold at the back. So Connor Bradley a part of that. Liverpool at a plus 102. Keep an eye on Chiesa trying to get his 5th cap of the year, his 5th action of the year, so he can get his performance medal for winning, being a part of the Premier League. Arsenal a plus 268. Your draws a plus 254. Now the standings to get into Europe is what we were staring at. Good question, Bam. That is a good question. We'll get to it in a sec. Liverpool 15 clear with 3 to go. Arsenal at 67, and then the fun begins. Manchester City at 64. Newcastle at 63. More goals scored than Chelsea, goal difference being equal and 1 more win. Nottingham Forest, who's lost 3 of 5. They are 1-3-1 in their last 5. At 61 points, Villa is at 60. So 4 points separating 5 clubs, 3 to 7, which could determine everything from Champions League to Conference League. That's where it is right now. Bournemouth at 53. It's a good run by you. Injuries hit you at the worst possible time, but you're finishing 8th. Brentford 9th at 52, ahead of Brighton on goal difference right now with 3 to go. Fulham at 51. So that's an interesting gaggle between 8 and 11, among 8 and 11. Crystal Palace at 46, Wolves at 41, Everton at 39, better goal difference than Manchester United by 2. Manchester United 15, Spurs at 16 at 38 points, West Ham is at 37 points. So the two teams that are in the Europa final are 15th and 16th in the Premier League. Obviously relegated Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton. Ipswich at 22, Leicester at 21, and Southampton. 2 wins in their 35 matches. Obviously, you also have promotion playoffs happening, so keep an eye on that this weekend with our friends at Paramount Plus. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Let me go there, and then we'll get into high school to set you up for noon Eastern. Soccer is in session. Playoff Daily Live presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Visits to Hebron Christian and to Tattnall County. We'll go over all your brackets, get you ready for the boys' semifinals, because we're going to be at Sprayberry and Johns Creek. Yours truly will have the call on the SDH network tonight. And so you can listen on, go to soccerdownhere.net, go to the listen tab, and you can listen to the match on whatever channel it's on. The most recent broadcast should be up and up for display. So you can listen to the Jefferson match yesterday that had them defeating Cherokee Bluff 5-2. Craziness across the board at Jefferson Turf. And so Jefferson and Oconee County, after Oconee County's 3-1 win over Whitewater at Whitewater that was on SDH 1, those two teams are going to be playing each other on Wednesday. It's going to be a fantastic championship game for AAA girls. Judson Hamby and Oconee County going for 3 in a row. Molly McCarty chasing after a championship. That one's going to go for a while, trust me. We'll go over all the other finals from yesterday coming up in a bit. So gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. We'll get into that. Bam's question as we transition, and this is a good question. I do not have the answer for it. MLS rule, only you can play in 2 cup tournaments. LAFC, when it goes Club World Cup, does that mean they have to back out of Leagues Cup? My gut tells me yes, I have no proof, but that's what my gut tells me, is that they'd have to back out, and then you'd have to try and find somebody who could jump into Leagues Cup quickly from MLS. But either way, I think you might be screwed. LAFC might be the team that plays in 3 just out of necessity, but we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll find out if there is a rule. And we wouldn't have an answer until June 1st. Say LAFC wins, they're in the Club World Cup, then they would be violating the 2 tournament rule, and then you try to find somebody quickly who would be playing in Leagues Cup. That would be available to play in Leagues Cup otherwise. Someone might be playing in 3. Might be just because of this year, and you can thank the Court of Arbitration for Sport and Grupo Pachuca for their ownership habits. But do not have an answer. And it might be LAFC too. It might be that. I don't know, Bam. It's a hell of a question. But it would make sense to have LAFC 2. Well, but I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I don't know if LAFC 2 would play in Leagues Cup. I don't know if that would be allowed. But like I said, that's a 3rd tournament for LAFC. How do you fix it? I don't know if you can fix it with an MLS club. It might have to be LAFC 2. I don't know. And if someone has the printed word on that, that would be fantastic. But my guess is they're going to try and fix that problem if it turns into a problem to fix. They will not have a definitive answer until June 1. But, like I said, LAFC might end up being in 3 tournaments. So, well, and Bam, it's not just letting them in. It's letting the 2s clubs in, say, an Open Cup. Something like that, which reminds me, we need to go over those starting times too. Now that those have been established. So I would have enjoyed more 2s teams in Open Cup this year. But that did not happen. That is not the case. But we do have our start times from Open Cup and what it looks like, the schedule going forward. Initially, once again, everybody was like, yeah, it's going to be on it's going to be in one location or another. All right, so here we go. May the 20th, JP Field at Anderson Stadium, Providence, Rhode Island. New England and Chicago. So New England has a home date, but it's going to be in Providence. 10:30, the nightcap, San Jose and Portland at PayPal Park. May 21st at 7:30 at Subaru Park in Chester, Philly, and Pittsburgh. The Hounds. 7:30 at the Inter & Co. in Central Florida, the Purple Team hosting Nashville. Harrison, New Jersey on the 21st, 7:30, Red Bulls and FCD. 7:30 Eastern, Loons and All Caps at Allianz. 7:30 DC United and Charlotte at Audi. 9 o'clock on the 21st at Q2, it is Copa Tejas Open Cup style as Austin takes on Houston. So once again, your matchups, 2 of them on the 20th, the rest on the 21st. New England in Providence hosting Chicago is your early one. Your nightcap on May 20, San Jose and Portland at PayPal Park. Philly, Pittsburgh, Orlando, Nashville, Purple Team Nashville, Red Bulls FCD, Loons and All Caps, DC United Charlotte, Austin and Houston are all on the 21st. So that's your rundown there. Now, gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Night, Bam. See you next Friday. And Abby with the ACC softball update. Down 1-0 against Duke. FSU hopefully rallying. We'll see what happens there. So today's gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Once again, check your sources, check your sources, check your sources in all of these. Napoli apparently now want to sign Kevin De Bruyne on a free. That comes from the Times. Keen to stay in Europe, Aston Villa understood to be among a host of clubs keeping tabs on the situation. Napoli also monitoring Jack Grealish. 3-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Bayer Leverkusen's Florian Wirtz, Manchester City's #1 transfer target. Midfielder yet to indicate whether he would rather join City or Bayern. Marcus Rashford on loan to Villa, eyeing a move to Barca. Once again, Marcus Rashford. How are they going to pay for it? We'll just create some more suites. Bring in an auditor who sits there and goes, yep, that's good. Oh, okay, then you can transfer. The other auditors come in and go, where does this math come from? New math would be the only way I could see that working. We'll sell more suites that don't exist. Jeremy Frimpong has basically a £30 million release clause in his deal. Major boost to Liverpool. Keen on him coming in next year. Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester City have all made contact to sign Rodrigo from Real Madrid. Crystal Palace, confident of signing Joe Willock from Newcastle. Borussia Dortmund have joined the race for Job Bellingham at Sunderland, scouted by Manchester United. Villa do not want to lose £90 million rated English midfielder Morgan Rogers, attracting interest from Chelsea, but he would be open to a move if the opportunity presented itself. Al Hilal showing serious interest in Darwin Nunez and Luis Diaz. Chelsea want to sign Emmanuel Omega from Strasbourg, with Newcastle also showing interest. West Ham and Wolves, 2 of the clubs looking at a potential summer transfer for Genoa defensive midfielder Morten Frendrup. Manchester City want to sign Flamengo right back Wesley. That's from Gianluca Di Marzio. And Newcastle's Sandro Tonali remains Juve's prime midfield target this summer. But remember, Sandro Tonali basically said, no, I love the faith that they had in me. I want to hang here. But we'll see what happens. Steven Gerrard among managers being considered for the Rangers job, because of course. Because of course he is. Sure, why not? Of course. Rio Ferdinand is in the hospital, missed PSG versus Arsenal for TNT. Obviously, keep your love and best vibes in that direction for him. And let's see. Tied, still no outs. Harumph. Okay. Women's Super League in England, according to our friends at The Guardian, is going to keep relegation after talks over the pause. They're going to continue to be relegated in the Women's Championship beyond 2026. And the Premier League is also urging clubs to allow dressing room filming and in-game interviews. I don't know about that. It may still end up being in front of the curtain with all of the sponsors there. So we'll see what happens with that going forward. Let's see. What to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. We go to our friends at Soccer America and lay all that out for you. We'll do today. And yes, the Swanson family news. There is going to be an addition. No word on whether or not the player who will be active in the next 9 months is going to be left-footed or right-footed. But we'll find out. Today, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. BN has the Turkish Super League, BN and Espanol simulcasting. Başakşehir and Fenerbahce at 1 o'clock. You can get that. All the BNs. CDO Nuestra Tele for the fans. TIC, Gold TV, and our buddy Nino Torres. TIC, Liga 1 Max Pro. All at fanatis.co/soccer down here. Helps them out, helps us out, helps you out, continue being a true degenerate in the world of soccer. ESPN Deportes, Las Palmas, and Rayo Vallecano at 3 o'clock. Fox Deportes, the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote at 2. Peru Primera at 4:30. Comerciantes Unidos and Binacional. ESPN Plus, the Bundesliga at 2:20. Bundesliga B, 12:30. La Liga at 3. USL League 1, Knoxville and Forward Madison at 6:30. MLSNextPro.com. It is an off week for Atlanta United. The twos next time out of the blocks are going to be on the 18th at 7:30 with Crown Legacy. So that's the next time that you will be seeing that activity will be on the 18th. So it is an off week for Atlanta United 2. They get to watch everybody else. Fire 2, FC Cincinnati 2, Timbers 2, and Whitecaps 2. Crown Legacy, Messi and Friends 2, Dynamo Dos Rapids 2, Toronto 2, and CFC. NYC, so Hudson River, MLS Next Pro Styles at 7:30, Ventura County and LA FC 2. 10 o'clock, all at MLSNextPro.com. Paramount, Milan, Bologna 2:45. Coventry City and Sunderland, the promotion playoffs at 3 o'clock. Women's side, Friday Night Football with Amazon Prime on the NWSL, Racing Louisville and Gotham is at 8. The Zone USA, the Northern Irish Premiership. That's a new one. Cliftonville and Linfield at 3 o'clock. Angel City in Utah at 10:30 on Golasso Network. And Paramount Plus is simulcasting. That one is at 10:30. All right, so let's get you into what happened yesterday in the GHSA brackets. Once again, reminder, at the top of the hour, the next hour, Soccer is in Session, Playoff Daily Live, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. We're going to have Chad Griffin, the head coach from Hebron Christian, and we're also going to visit with Coach Chaz down at Tattnall County and find out what's going on there. We'll get you through all your brackets, all the results that happened. If you miss this recap of the girls' side, we'll do it again in the noon hour and get you ready for the weekend. Johns Creek is hosting Sprayberry. That's on the network. I'll have that call for you tonight. Let me see where my brackets start here. So let's go Class A D2. Class A Division 2, we were waiting for finals, and that was why it's like, why do you not have the finals written? Well, I'll tell you, because I don't. So girls brackets yesterday. We'll start Class A Division 2. Irwin County loses to Atlanta Classical 3-2, so I guess I should write this down as we go. So Atlanta Classical comes all the way from being the number 5 ranked team, but being the 3 team out of Area 6, and they're going to be playing for the championship. ACA is going to be taking on the winner of Lake Oconee Academy and Tryon. LOA is ranked number 3, and Tryon is ranked number 1. So fantastic matchup on the right-hand side of the bracket. The winner gets Atlanta Classical. D1 girls, Bremen over Social Circle 4-0. I talked to Heather Richardson via text after the match was over. We'll get her thoughts of this loss to Bremen, and Bremen gets the win, and they get to go into the championship, and it's Bremen and Model, and this is going to be below the radar, heavy duty. Class A Division 1. Bremen beat Social Circle 4-0. Model beat Ace Charter 1-0. So you have Team 1, number 1, and team ranked number 2, Team 6. So the top 2 teams in Class A Division 1 girls, Bremen and Model. That one's going to be at McEachern on the 13th at 5 o'clock. In AA, Pike County and Savannah Arts are your survivors. Pike County beat Cahola Creek 6-0, furthest that Cahola Creek has ever gone. And Savannah Arts hung on to beat Morgan County by the score of 3-2. So Pike County, Savannah Arts on the home side. This one is a week from today at Mercer, Macon, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. AAA girls, and we had both of these on the network yesterday. It was great to be in both of these environments, and it's going to be Jefferson hosting Oconee County. Jefferson 5-2 winners over Cherokee Bluff. Team 1 ranked number 1. Oconee County ranked number 5. We had their matchup against Johnson Gainesville on our air, number 5 versus number 10. Shut out Johnson Gainesville. Shut out Harlem. gave up 1 to Sandy Creek, gave up 1 to Whitewater. So Jefferson hosting Oconee County AAA girls on the 14th at McEachern at 5 o'clock. That one's going to be heavyweight. If you can make it to that one, go to that one. In Quad A, Marist and Blessed Trinity. Marist shut out Cambridge by the score of 1-0. BT shut out Allatoona 2-0. So second-ranked Marist, your Region 5 champ, is the home team taking on number 5 ranked Region 7 champ Allatoona. That one is on Thursday at 5 at Duluth High School. 5A, it is Northgate and number 1 Roswell. Roswell has run the table. Roswell ranked number 1 Region 7 champ. 3-1 winners over Pope. They are going to be the visitors in designation at Duluth a week from today at 5 o'clock as Greenbrier traveled to Northgate. Northgate got the win 3-1. Northgate hosting Roswell at Duluth, 5 o'clock a week from today. 6A girls, Walton and Buford survived. Buford ran through the gauntlet on the right-hand side of the bracket, beating West Forsyth 1-0. So it is the second-ranked Buford Wolves, Region 8 champ, beating Brookwood and West Forsyth in back-to-back games in a 4-day period. They get a week before Thursday at 5 o'clock. Walton on the home side against Buford. We'll try and catch up with Megan Hill during the week, and we'll find out what it's going to be like preparing for Walton as number 2 Buford takes on number 5 Walton, Region 5 champ, Region 8 champ. Then on the private side, GAC shut out Whitfield Academy 2-0. They're going to be the home team, or are they? Okay, so GAC as Team 3 is going to be the home team taking on Team 5 Lovett. Lovett beat Holy Innocents by the score of 6-0, so Lovett advances. Good season for Holy Innocents. So because of the higher ranking in the power rankings, GAC is going to be the home team, Team 3 ranked number 2, taking on Lovett, who is Team 5 ranked number 3. So that's your breakdown of everything that happened on the girls' side. Do that again, and the boys' brackets coming up top of the hour on Soccer is in Session Playoff Daily Live, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. As always, it's great to have Michael Parkhurst on to talk about things. It's great to catch up with Osvaldo Alonso and finding out what it's like to have to cut your head in half to listen to people talking in your ear and talking about folks that you played with or played against. Now as an analyst for studio analyst for MLS 360 and MLS Season Pass on Apple TV, Spanish studio team for La Previa, MLS 360 and El Resumen. And it's great to catch up with Ozzie and the fact that he was born in 1985. Now we have the answer. We have the answer. I'm glad that we have that answer. For now, we know the 85 jersey with Ozzie Alonso. We really do.
Now you know.
And we're coming back in about 50 minutes to do high school one more day here this week. We'll be back Tuesday next week to go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday when it comes to Soccer is in Session Playoff Daily. Thanks to Parky. Thanks to Ozzie Alonso. Thanks to all of you. And getting you ready for the weekend. Atlanta United and Chicago is tomorrow afternoon, batting leadoff for Major League Soccer. And you be sure to listen to Mike and Jason, 92.9 The Game on the Odyssey app. Pregame is going to be at 1:30, and it is going to be the full-time report after that from Colony Square. So as always, great to have you guys here for yet another week of SDHAM. Back in about 50 minutes to do Soccer is in Session Playoff Daily Live, presented by our friends in Kaiser Permanente. Thanks to all of you folks for being a part of everything here, as we always are. And it is also very, very, very cool. So, yes, Ozzie Alonso does turn 40 this year, but the 85 jersey, now we know why he chose 85. Very, very cool in that. All right, time to get out so we can come back. As we always do, we are ending Friday one particular way. Mucha Platiel, play it safe. Enjoy the games this weekend. We'll catch up with you again at noon. We'll catch up with you tonight. Johns Creek hosting Sprayberry. Then we'll catch up with you again on the weekend. Mucha Platiel, play it safe. Since it's the end of the show on a Friday, it means we get to do this.
The war was on.
the keys on the typewriter had sharp points that kept sticking into our fingers. The dictating equipment started asking us questions, and our beepers sent electric shocks just through our body like a cattle prod. Out in the warehouse, the trucks kept banging into the docks, not even thinking about stopping. Oh, our frail bodies were strapped to the chairs, and our chairs were chained to the desks. Our pleas for justice were ignored, and the end seemed near. But we busted our slave drivers' little bitty balls. We've charged out of their brick fortress. The streets are ours because it's Friday!